Yo, what is going on, Comfy Gang? It's your boy Company here. So today's video, I want to basically dedicate it to the many reasons why I don't want to get a job. And obviously, I know I initially said before that I kind of wanted to get a job, especially as part of like my whole NEET ascension thing. But recently, after spending a lot of time with myself and contemplating on things and gaining new perspectives in my NEETdom, I've sort of changed my mind about that. So in this video, I basically wanted to talk about the many reasons why I sort of ended up changing my mind and my current rationale for not wanting to get a work, for not wanting to get a job. And obviously this might be like massive mental gymnastics. So if you want to have a civil discussion with me, you're free to do so in the comments. But currently, as things stand, there's plenty of good reasons, in my opinion, why working doesn't really work out. And yeah, I'll be talking about that. And this video, by the way, isn't meant to insult or like, I guess, look down upon people who currently have work, especially those who are forced to out of necessity. But obviously it is a necessary evil. But as it stands now, I currently am not forced to, and a lot of people aren't. So I really don't feel there's this sort of need to get a job if you don't have to. And I'll be going over my reasons as to why, well, I don't think I should have to work. And anyways, yeah, so let's begin the video. So, well, the first reason why I don't want to work is that, well, I really don't think it will change anything for me. Obviously, I feel like that is the number one sort of argument as to why I should get a job, is that it'll somehow, fix my life. Every time I upload a video talking about some problem inherent to NEETdom or inherent to my personality, there's always going to be one or two comments, saying that, just get a job and everything will work out. And well, I really don't think this is the case. I don't feel like this will change anything at the end of the day. And my reason for thinking this is that, well, I feel like that argument sort of implies that, well, I've been isolated my entire life, and that, all of the things that I'm suffering from currently are as a result of me being a NEET. And sure, being a NEET has worsened them to varying degrees, all of my problems. But at the same time, it's not like these things haven't been there before. For example, my social isolation, my lack of motivation, my inability to, be motivated and do things and become skilled at, different pursuits and hobbies that I've tried out, let alone, my lack of interest in most, activities, my disinterest in quote unquote normal stuff. And yeah, like, I just feel like that won't change. And, obviously I don't have the most life experience out there, but I consider myself at least somewhat experienced. I went through, high school and college and, partially at least, and partially, university at least. And, well, yeah, I feel like I've put myself out there to the best of my abilities, and I've been in plenty of situations where, I should have been able to wipe the slate clean and make new friends and all that, situations which people are telling me that I should go out and, experience currently, like meeting new people and stuff, and I've been in those situations. And at the end of the day, all the same, problems that I've been facing have persisted through that. And I really don't see work changing that, because at the end of the day, I really feel like the work environment is just like an extension of the high school environment. All the same sort of, social rules, forces are at play there. And people are people at the end of the day, no matter how old they are. I feel like people like to think that they're somehow, more mature than they were when they were younger. And sure, that might be true to a small extent, but I really do believe that at the end of the day, people are just babies or animals walking in adult human bodies with, higher order cognitions to rationalize all of their behaviors. But at the end of the day, a lot of stuff is biologically determined. And, I just really don't see how just going to work will change anything. I feel like, yeah, nothing's really going to change if I get a job. So yeah, that's my first reason. The second reason is that, well, I feel like it's not worth it monetarily and time-wise. So it's as they say, time is the most precious thing in the world, and well, that is true in a sense. You can't ever buy back time, and obviously, therefore, it kind of stands to reason that you should spend your time wisely and do things that you think are worth it to you. And well, you might think that watching anime and playing video games is kind of quote unquote meaningless and pointless and vapid. And I have kind of wrongfully said that in a way, kind of ironically in a sense. But at the same time, I do feel like they are meaningful, at least to me, and I do derive a lot of joy and emotions and all that from just doing the things that I enjoy. And I don't, obviously in excess, it can become mind numbing and unstimulating, but there are ways to counteract that. And I have found ways to, do this. And I actually end up enjoying anime a lot at the end of the day and enjoying video games and all that. And, I feel like these are, in my opinion, meaningful uses of my time. And I don't see how working a menial, repetitive job is a meaningful use of my time, especially when the pay is so little. Like, to be honest, I'm totally willing to work if the pay is good and all that. But the reality of things is that most people are not even being paid living wages in like 90% of positions. At the end of the day, like, you're not going to be able to afford your own place. You're basically going to be living a life of indentured servitude at most positions. And so in my opinion, it's not really worth it. And it just, it's not worth it time wise. And I would rather, spend my time doing things that are meaningful to me. So the next reason is that, well, I feel like just working and getting into the whole like grind culture, hustle culture, it's ultimately like a zero-sum game, in my opinion. I feel like if you play your cards right from birth, like, obviously things were a lot easier back in the day, but this is like 2020 we're talking about. Like, times have changed significantly since the end of World War II. And the same economic conditions are no longer present. The same opportunities afforded to our boomer ancestors are no longer available to most people in my generation, and in the Zoomer generation even more so. I feel like these sorts of like opportunities basically trickled out by the end of like the Gen X generation, and so it really is a zero-sum game in my opinion, because let's say I get a job, like I mentioned earlier, it's basically indentured servitude. You're never really going to be able to afford a decent place, and the only way you'll really be able to afford a place is, to get a place, is mostly through inheriting. Obviously, there's the argument that you should just, move to the middle of nowhere, but like, who really wants to do that? And even that is becoming more and more impossible with the passage of time. And it just seems like a zero-sum game. Things are getting more expensive because of inflation, and both parties, all parties, everybody, I don't fucking know, is just spending the economy to shit. Governments are printing money like crazy to fund all sorts of programs, and especially the whole COVID thing. And obviously, I don't want to get into the whole debate. Like, obviously it was necessary in a sense to help people out, but at the same time, just the way things are, it's just structured in a way where inflation is basically an inevitability, and things are just bound to get more and more expensive. And regardless of political leanings, just, I feel like that's even that in itself, like, they're just both two sides of the same coin, and ultimately things are just getting more and more prohibitively expensive. And fields are becoming more and more oversaturated. The talent pool is expanding progressively. People are mogging people left and right on multiple levels, both on looks and just pure talent and ability alone. And not only is the talent pool expanding, but the demand for labor is increasing. The expectations of performance are increasing because of this. And because of things like automation, people are being required less and less for work. And there's also going to be the AI and quantum computing revolution in the near future. And even if that doesn't happen, we don't really need these technologies for AI to still, overtake and, basically outsource a lot of the different, I don't know what the right term is, like basically take over displace a lot of the jobs that were currently, even like the minimum like wage, like crap jobs, even those are getting like, basically taken over like daily. And not only that, but even like sort of like the mid-tier, like lower end white collar jobs are also starting to be automated away just purely because of technology. So yeah, and it just ultimately doesn't lead to anything. Like it's not like I can work a factory job and somehow end up living a quote unquote decent life. Like if I could actually do that, I would definitely get a fucking job at a factory or on a boat or something. If like I could live a decent existence, but like the dating game is getting way harder for men. Then it's just, it's just a zero-sum game at the end of the day. I'll just move on from this point because I could talk about this all day. So the next point is that, well, society gives zero chances. Obviously, there's going to be the argument that, if you had played your cards right, then you wouldn't be in this position. I completely agree. But the thing is that nobody tells you the right way to live life. You're just fed this sort of like this meme of just go to college and everything will work out. Nobody tells you that different degrees have different values, or that, STEM is inherently better than most other fields from the standpoint of just surviving and getting a livable wage. And, like nobody tells you this. So nobody tells you how to live life. So I guess maybe it isn't my fault to a degree. No one tells you how to socially deal with people and, play this whole game of, participate in society. Like, sure, I think participating in society is a decent option if you play your cards right. But not only is it getting harder and harder to play your cards right, but once you fuck up, then what? Let's say you miss school for a year, or you miss school for a few, let's say you NEET for a few years. All of a sudden, you're at a huge disadvantage relative to everybody who's been playing their cards right. And when you've not been told how to do that, then what the hell do you do at this point? Like all that's left for you are basically the crap tier jobs. And it's like basically there's like no other options for like you once you mess up. And I've messed up. So what do I do? Like, do I just accept it and live this, crap life that's left for me? Or do I stay comfy for as long as possible before eventually, doing that? Like, I feel like the best option in my case, and for a lot of NEETs cases, would be just to stay as comfy for as long as possible until you have to face the inevitable and, live a meaningless life as part of the machine, or just rope. But until then, yeah, I don't feel like I should be guilted into working because, this really is quote the best option for me at this point. Like I genuinely believe that. So, the next reason is that the social pressure is kind of annoying from real life people as well as from a few people online. Like I know that it is well intentioned at the end of the day, but I feel like it sort of like discounts a lot of these struggles that I have. And yeah, it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like annoying. Like for all the reasons, like I've already mentioned that, how working a job won't necessarily change anything. And then it's like people sort of like discount your struggles. They assume that everybody is basically the same and that the opportunities for someone like me in the West are exactly the same. But, like really, like I could definitely get a job. I could definitely do that. But it's like what's the point at the end of the day? And then for all the reasons I mentioned before, and then it's like, not only that, you have people just kind of like assuming that like, oh, like if you just get a job, then like it'll just work out. Like you're stupid not to get a job. There's kind of like that sort of implication behind it. And it's like, it's slightly annoying, like honestly. And it just makes me not want to get a job because, well, like, it's like, if you're not willing to even like talk about things or like take seriously a lot of like the gripes that a lot of people have with the way things are structured and the way things currently work. So like, it just makes me not want to get a job, if I'm being honest. That's probably a more petty reason not to get a job, but it is like annoying, to be honest. And yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, so that's my that's one reason. The next reason is that I think contributing to society is a meme, because that is another argument that will inevitably come up, is that I'm just being a lazy bum, a leech, and not contributing to society. But in reality, society is just getting worse and worse. And, it really is this whole, in a way, this whole red carpet meant for, for the peons, for the subhumans, for the lower class individuals to basically, it's basically designed to worship the genetically superior and the rich. But what's left for the rest of, everybody else out there, we're basically just expected to be good, obedient little like dogs and slaves, and basically just slave away and not, complain and, just follow the trends, be part of the crowd and be part of this wonderful society and not question things and, not be yourself when you're around people. Like, there's all these sorts of like pressures out there, and it's really just, it's terrible. Like, is this the way, like, is this something I really want to contribute to? And not only that, but when you're in the West and you're, when you're not white, like, I'm not saying that there's this whole like racism thing out there, but at the same time, like, there's not this sort of like cabal of like white men out there like making shit worse. I'm not saying that, but just from the pure standpoint of biological determinism, Asian men are discriminated against real like a lot and really badly, and it's often not talked about. And why would I want to ever contribute to something like that? I guess it stands for me that the argument stands that maybe I should just move back to Asia, and that's honestly something I'm considering. But until then, I definitely feel like that's not an option for me, especially if my homeland gets invaded in the near future. Then which is another thing I'll talk about in a bit, then yeah, like, I feel like if I'm to stay in the West, then the best option for me is to NEET, because I feel like Western society, as much as it has contributed to the world, really isn't doing much for me at this current moment. Like, society in 2020 is honestly, really not that great, and I really don't feel like it's something worth contributing to. So that's again, I can rant about that for a lot, but in more detail. But yeah, the next reason is that there's no moral imperative for me to work. And obviously, first of all, we are, at the end of the day, living on a speck of dust that is the Earth in the vast infinite expanse of the universe. Like, the universe is so unfathomably large that ultimately all these sorts of notions of contributing to society and being a good person and all that are really just meaningless. What really matters at the end of the day, in my opinion, is pursuing things that are meaningful to you, and trying not to make life shitty for the people around you. And that's ultimately, in my opinion, what matters. So therefore, there's no sort of grand moral imperative for me to work from that standpoint. And obviously, some of you might be watching this who think I should work, might be like drooling at your mouths and think, aha, you see what you said there? Like, you said, what you just said, you're contradicting yourself, because you just said that we should try not to make life shittier for the people around us, but you're a lazy leech who leeches off your parents, and your parents are working in some fucking shithole sweatshop, minimum wage shithole 12-hour job, and they're suffering away toiling so you can live your lazy NEET existence where you do nothing productive because you're a lazy shit piece of shit NEET. Like, obviously, I know that's what some people are thinking, but at the same time, like, come on, like, look where I live. Like, I'm not saying I'm not like some fucking billionaire, but obviously, like, my parents are not like doing that badly. Like, it's not bad enough. I'm not a complete piece of shit where, like, if my parents were working some like shithole job, like, if they were really suffering, then yeah, for sure I would get a job. But that's like not the position they're in currently. And like, honestly, like, they're doing fine. And if me being a leech is the issue, then what about my mom? Like, I love her and everything, and I honestly mean that. I do love her, I do care for her, but at the end of the day, if we're really like doing this sort of like tit for tat comparison thing, then what about, what about my mom? Like, she's been NEET for 25, basically since the beginning of her marriage. Sure, she's worked an odd job or two, but not for very long, but she's been NEET for most of the time, and she spends way more money than me. She's leached off my dad for way more. I try and keep my expenses to the minimum. I help out around the house and stuff. I keep myself relatively clean. I keep my room clean. It's not like I shit all over the place and piss in a jug and all those sorts of neat memes. Like, I'm not actually like that degenerate. Like, I feel like I contribute, and I provide emotional support to my parents. I'm being serious. Like I do. Like, I am on fairly good terms with them. I try not to make their life like too bad, and yeah. So, like, is that so bad? Like, is that really so bad what I'm doing? Like, just like, sure, I am leeching, but like in the most like minimal sense of the word. Like, you might call me a parasite, but there are these things called like what's it called? What's that term, where like a parasite like benefits the host in a way, like a, not pro-social, but I'm forgetting the term, it's like where the parasite is like a mutually beneficial relationship with the host. I feel like that's like currently the position I'm in. Like, if anything, my like my mom doesn't want me to leave because she has borderline personality disorder and can't stand the idea of me leaving. She even tried to not let me go to university, like at the beginning, and like what else? Yeah, like, I'm basically like a pet in a way, and I've been rendered basically impotent. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. Is like, yeah, like, there's a whole standpoint of like personal responsibility. My parents did bring me into this world at the end of the day, and then they raised me in such a way that I was rendered impotent and useless. And not only that, I'm basically not exactly quote unquote like prime genetic material too. So there's that as well. And also there's this what else? Yeah, that's basically, as far as that goes. Yeah, there's pretty much no moral imperative for me to get a job. So, why should I? I really don't want to work if I don't have to. And the next reason is that, this one's kind of like off the wall in a sense, but I feel like it is a valid point, is that, World War III is going to happen. This sort of plays into my whole zero-sum game point, but this is, a pretty distinct, important point in my opinion, because, well, it's going to affect all of us at the end of the day. And, this might sound crazy. You might tell me to put on my tinfoil hat, but at the end of the day, I do genuinely believe that World War III is going to happen. And, given the way, certain, I'll just say China has been acting recently and what they're doing, they are at some point going to, invade, Taiwan, where I'm from, at some point. And that is either going to be a flashpoint for a conflict between America and China, or, let's say America doesn't do anything. That looks really bad for America. All of a sudden, a lot of world powers lose respect for America. And then what then? China continues to expand its influence. It's like this whole idea of, oh, let's just appease China and let them take over Taiwan. And, again, this is not, racism against Chinese people, by the way, because I am ethnically Chinese. And, Chinese people are, they're fine. There are a lot of great Chinese people, but this is specifically a criticism of their government, and a people is not its government. I don't know why I have to say this, but obviously there might be people triggered about me talking about this and calling me a self-hating fucking Asian, which is obviously not fucking true. Like, I think Asians are fucking based, but yeah, so basically at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get at is that conflict between China and America is inevitable. And once that happens, it opens the floodgates, because now you've got Russia that is going to try and impose its will on, a lot of Eastern Europe and eventually a lot of the EU. And so there's going to be that conflict. And then you have the Middle East and Israel situation. You have all, like, the world is basically a giant powder keg, and peace never fucking lasts, and we're long overdue for war. So I genuinely do believe that a massive global conflict is approaching. And what are the implications of this for me and for a lot of NEETs out there? Mandatory conscription, shithole conditions, food shortages, fucking, we could honestly, this could lead to nuclear war genuinely, or if not nuclear war, drone warfare. All these new ways to kill each other are going to be unleashed upon, the entire world. And, all bets are off in these sort of, people talk about human rights and Geneva Conventions and shit. But at the end of the day, all bets are off in times of war. And imagine me getting some job and, toiling away because I need to man up, or, because it's the right thing to do, and because, I'm being, so I don't be a leech, and all, so I can meet these expectations that society has arbitrarily placed on me and on us, I guess, for NEETs. And, and then all of a sudden, boom, shit hits the fan. It's World War III. All of a sudden, all the money, your money becomes worthless because of inflation, and, your investments all tank, and you're forced to, fight in the military, or basically forced to live in third world conditions now that everybody's bombing and invading each other. Like, what then? Was it really worth it getting a job? Like, in my opinion, it's probably way better to treasure the time you have in peace and actually spend that, doing things that are meaningful to you. And for me, that's video games and anime, and, being comfy in my room. And, so obviously, like, if I could be social, if I could fit in with people without pretending to be someone I'm not, then I definitely would have done that by now. But the point is that, that's been a struggle for me my entire life. And, it's probably going to remain that way if I choose to get a job. So therefore, as it stands, the best option for me seems to be in my room and stay comfy. And so that's as far as that point goes. And the last point is, like I said, being a NEET is comfy. I know I've kind of done the NEET community a bit of disservice in a sense, because I've only talked about the negative aspects of being NEET, which which are true. They're not untrue, but I haven't represented, NEETdom in its entirety. In a sense, I have been ungrateful in a lot of ways for this time that's been afforded to me, but in a lot of ways, NEETdom is a really great thing, and I will be talking about these great aspects, probably in some videos in the future of my channel. So stay tuned for that. But being NEET is really comfy, and I genuinely do enjoy my time. Maybe I don't know what it means to enjoy something, but I really don't feel that. I actually feel like I do genuinely enjoy, this time and all the things that I do currently. And I am living my best life, as fucked up as that sounds. I really do believe that. And so those are the many reasons. Some might call them copes or rationalizations as to why I don't want to work. But these are the many reasons why I don't want to get a job. You're free to debate me in the comment section below. Just be civil about it. And, I might not reply to everything, but I'll at least, read things and give things a consideration. My mind is definitely open to being changed, but this is just my current opinion. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. This is Company signing out. Hope you guys found this entertaining, and peace.